Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving deep, really deep, into the brain's command center. This is the ancient, powerful core that runs the whole show, everything that makes you, you, and most of it happens without you even noticing.
All right, let me ask you something. What part of your brain is running your body's autopilot? You know, all the stuff you do without even thinking about it? We're talking about breathing while you sleep, keeping your balance when you walk, even the very rhythm of your heart. Well, the answer lies deep inside, in your brain's ancient core. These are the parts that develop first, literally from the bottom up, and they're in charge of all our most fundamental instincts. So today, we're going to focus on two real unsung heroes down at the very base of the brain, right where it connects to your spinal cord. We're talking about the cerebellum and the brainstem. Think of these as the main command centers for your body's autopilot. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the cerebellum. People call it the master of movement, and its name is pretty cool. It literally means little brain. If you could see it, it would look like this small, super densely folded thing tucked away right at the base of your skull.
So, what's its main job? Well, it's the master of motor control. I love this analogy. Think of it like one of those really sophisticated motion smoothing processors you find in a high-end TV, but it's for your body. It's what makes sure every single one of your movements is fluid, coordinated, and precise.
So yeah, that means it's handling everything from just standing up straight and keeping your balance, all the way to the incredibly complex muscle choreography that lets you speak. But here's the really wild part. We're now discovering it's not just about movement. The cerebellum actually helps regulate our thoughts and even our emotions too. Who knew? So you might be wondering, how do we know all this? Well, one of the most fascinating ways is actually by looking at how the cerebellum's activity changes when it's under the influence of certain substances. This gives us some incredible clues about what it really does. For instance, in one study, researchers gave subjects ketamine, and what they saw was this incredible rewiring effect. The connections from the cerebellum to the brain's visual network, they got stronger, but the connections to the auditory network, they got weaker. It's like the brain was literally rerouting its information flow right there in real time. And this chart, wow, it just shows that data so clearly. So that vertical axis, that's connectivity, basically how much these parts of the brain are talking to each other. Now, look at the placebo group on the left. See that? Almost no change. But then look over at the ketamine group. A massive spike in connectivity just within the first hour. It's such a clear picture of how much this substance can change that deep brain communication. And you know what? We see something kind of similar in research on psilocybin. So what you're looking at here is a PET scan. It's showing the typical brain activity of someone who got a placebo while they were doing a pretty simple task, just repeating words. Just take a look at the patterns of activity. Notice how it's pretty symmetrical. Okay, now look at the brain on psilocybin. Totally different, right? The patterns just shift dramatically. Activity in the thalamus, that's the brain's big relay station for all sensory info, it actually goes down. And meanwhile, you can see it highlighted at the bottom, the activity in the cerebellum is also altered. It's way less symmetrical. This is huge. It suggests these substances are fundamentally changing how our brain processes reality itself. All right, so working right alongside the cerebellum is an even more fundamental structure, the brainstem. And if you think of the cerebellum as the master of movement, well, the brainstem is your autopilot for pure, raw survival. It's this stalk-like thing that connects your brain to your spinal cord, and it is the ultimate control center for all your autonomic functions. We're talking about all those critical processes that just happen automatically to keep you alive. It's actually made up of 4 crucial parts, and each one has a totally non-negotiable, life-sustaining job. You've got the medulla that handles your heartbeat and breathing, then there's the pons, which manages sleep, the midbrain processes sensory info, and then there's the reticular formation. Okay, this last part, the reticular formation, is absolutely fascinating. I like to think of it as your brain's bouncer. Seriously, it's the reason you can tune into one conversation in a super noisy room, or why your ears perk up the second someone says your name from across the way. It is constantly filtering all the sensory information coming in, deciding what's important enough to get your conscious attention and what's just background noise. So here's the bottom line. The cerebellum and the brainstem, together, they form this totally unseen command center. They're constantly working in the background, governing our movement, our senses, our very existence, and we never ever have to think about it. So, what are the key takeaways here? First, the cerebellum is your master of movement and coordination. Simple. Second, the brainstem is your nonstop life support system. It's running everything. And third, as we just saw with that research, the activity in these super deep regions can be profoundly changed. And maybe the biggest lesson of all, so much of what makes you, well, you, is just running completely on autopilot in the background. And that leaves us with one last, kind of provocative thought to chew on. If these ancient filters in your brain can be altered, what parts of reality are being tuned out as background noise for you every single day without you ever even knowing they exist?